What's up, everyone? It's Annabelle with That Good Shit, and today I'm here with
Cleo Reed.
Cleo Reed. I always see Cleo when I'm riding my bike through Brooklyn, and just every once in a while I'll scoot past them, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Annabelle!" And
Yes,
now we're finally meeting up.
we are city bike warriors.
City bike warriors. What do you like to listen to when you're on the city bike?
I like to listen to Doechii. I like to listen to Glorilla
Yeah,
on the bike.
yeah.
I like to listen to free jazz. I like to listen to Emmanuel Wilkins. Um, yeah, that's like what I like to listen to.
It's a good bike playlist.
Yep, and I like to listen to some ragers, like some like old punk music, some hardcore music.
Yeah. Shout out to all the city bike warriors.
Yes,
Yes.
we see you. We salute you.
And today we're up here on the roof of Vital Fitness, which is like this really cool climbing gym in Brooklyn. And I always see it from afar and I always hear about it, but I've actually never been here.
It's
Cool
really
spot.
pretty. I'm glad that you came here. Um, this is where I come when I need to rest, so I'm happy to be here.
How long have you been climbing for?
Only since January, when I decided I was gonna put my record out. I needed an outlet that like wasn't music related.
Yeah.
I was like, I need some personality boosters, so I started getting into climbing with like a cool crew of people who also didn't have day jobs right now. So it's been good.
Yeah, so you can just be up here on like a weekday afternoon getting a climb in.
Yeah, it's like me, a couple of fabricators, like woodworkers, and like we just all climb together. It's sick. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's really sick. I feel like I have a lot of friends around me who are also friends with you. Like, I feel like we have a lot of mutual friends. And just like one of the very first things I learned about you before I even really like met you is that you're like really loved by your community. Like, people really love you.
Wow.
How does it feel to like, maybe can you speak to your like community of creatives around you and like how important that is to you?
I definitely was raised with a serious belief in chosen family. I come from a family of remarried parents and stepchildren, and I didn't have siblings growing up, and so like I really learned about the value of like community, and like I had a lot of play aunties growing up and gunkles and like all these other people who helped me figure things out.
Yeah.
And so I think I just carry that with me now in my day to day, and I love my people. And if you know me and you know that I care about you, I am there for you. Like I'm riding out. My nickname in my family is Road Dog. It gets serious.
What is that? Where did that come from?
I don't know. My mom is like mad country, so I feel like she was just like, you my road dog, like you my ride or die, like where I go you go,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I was always down to ride, like, you know. She was like, you want to go? I'm like, yes, yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. I'm glad that my peoples are doing right by me in my absence as well, talking to you. That's great.
Definitely, yes. I've only heard your name spoken of like very highly, and again, it's so nice to actually meet you and talk with you. We were having like a lot of really good chats before the interview as well.
Yes.
So I love it. But yeah, I would love to dive into just all of your music, and I kind of want to start off with the beginning. Kind of tell me about your first memory of loving music. Like, what's the first time you had that sensation listening to a song where you were like, "Whoa, I feel something special."
Wow. Wow. This isn't my first, but I remember when I was 8 years old, I was playing in a really rigid orchestra. And I was playing percussion a lot. I had been playing for 2.5 years. And my mother put me in a girls' rock camp. This was in D.C. I've moved around a lot as a kid. This was in D.C., and she put me in a rock camp. And the rock camp, they burned us CDs, and they gave us like a mixtape with like the Slits and a bunch of girl bands, and even like JJ Fad, like Supersonic, like old school hip hop stuff. I think there was some Missy on there. And then on there, they had a song by the band 70s, I believe, the band Delta 5. And the song is called Mind Your Own Business. And I played it in the car with my mom, and we both lost our minds. Like, we lost it. And we bumped it so hard the whole week. But it was like, it's like, can I have a taste of your ice cream? No. Can I lick the crumbs off your table? No. Can I interfere in your crisis? No. Mind your own business. And I was just like, this is so raw. Like, this is sick. Like, I don't know. There's just something really unapologetic about it that I liked, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of my core memories. I mean, you know, I think I performed Missy Elliott at a talent show when I was like in the first grade.
That's fire. Did you have some like choreography
We
to
were
go
like,
along with
yeah,
it?
like it was like me and my girls, like we were in like a dance crew, and like we were definitely dropping it to the floor and like trying to shake our butts, like trying to act grown, which I live for.
That was me and my girl group in first grade doing a dance routine to like Hannah Montana, and we did like a whole choreographed dance.
I had a Hannah Montana themed birthday party when I was like, I think 4th grade. Yeah. It was very serious. I loved her.
Did you see she's about to do a 20th anniversary Hannah Montana tour?
No.
Yeah. She's doing a Hannah Montana tour.
See, and this is why having a soft spot for Miley is so real, because she really impacted us.
She impacted a lot of us. I remember like I used to draw pictures of us holding hands being like best friends, and like I got like the Miley Super Sweet 16 like gift pack from her birthday party. Aww. I was obsessed.
Yeah, I just like that she lived a dual life. Like I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with that character. That character that she played is just like amazing.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's any separation of like Cleo Reed as an artist versus like you as a human at home, or do they kind of blend together?
They blend together more now with the music that I put out now. I think at first I took on Cleo. Cleo is my great grandmother's name. It's short for Cleophas McQueen, and her mom's name was Texana. And I felt like I adopted that name because I felt like I needed something to just like allow me to learn how to be vulnerable and feel less judged when I was like releasing music and performing music. But then when I decided to make things that were more specific in my like make my storytelling way more specific, I feel more of a oneness now. So I'm starting to become one with Cleo. I think me and Cleo are engaging in a warm hug right now, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is really nice.
If that makes sense.
Fast forwarding a little bit from that memory of like hearing that song with your mom, when do you go on to start actually like making your own songs?
Okay, so that same age, I'm 8. I won a guitar at a raffle in Pasadena, California. My dad was living in Leimert Park at the time. And then I take the guitar back to DC. I'm starting to teach myself. My mom puts me in a few lessons. I'm still in orchestra. And then when I'm 11, there's a community arts center that is opened by this man named John Chambers, a community center that was alcohol-free called Bloom Bars, and the whole sensibility was like, we serve you art instead of serving you alcohol and drugs, and very wholesome.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you should go to the open mic. And I was like, why? Like, I'm like writing songs in my room like, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I need to go share these? This is embarrassing. And she was like, it'll be good, and then you can figure out whether they're good or not. And like basically like low-key teaching me how to workshop, didn't even know it, you know?
Yeah.
And to get me out of demoitis. And so like when I was like 12, I'm like going to this community arts center like every Monday and like singing my heart out for like a good year and a half. And so that's when I started to like learn about songwriting and performing, and like, you know, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then at what point, you know, you have the artist named Cleo Reed come together, you start, you know, putting out all of this music. When did that era kind of begin, like the Cleo Reed as a musician era?
When I was in high school, I continued to be in rock camp, and I joined a hardcore band called Pretty Sick that also made like shoegazy music and all types of stuff. And they are still together. They ended up signing a Dirty Hit, and then I left the band when I was 18. And when I was in college, I was still going back and forth, back to New York on the weekends, during the summers, playing music. And I don't know, I think something just came over me, and I just decided that I wanted to go by a name other than my own name, but I wanted it to be important. I had already gotten this like matching tattoo with my mom of like this Reed after I had an ancestor named Reed Von Treese, and we thought it was so cool, like being named after nature and stuff. So yeah, I kind of adopted that and decided it was like would be fun to have like an alias just to take the pressure off. I think I wasn't feeling the most secure about the idea of like sharing music, because music is so personal.
Yeah.
And like especially when you grow up, like when I think when people grow up in the arts the way that I did, where you grow up with this like very rigid thing, and then you're like, it's like it starts to become like for me, my self-worth started to be attached to the work
Right.
in a way that ultimately was not healthy. So I needed to create some boundaries, and I think going under Cleo helped me create some of those kind of boundaries with myself. And
Yeah. We're creating boundaries.
yeah, and be free.
Absolutely. And now, okay, yeah, and then we arrive here 2025. You put out this really incredible album called Cuntry. Cuntry. Country.
Yes, country.
Country.
Country. Yes.
Before we even dive into this album, which there's so much to talk about that I'm really excited to talk to you about, but how did you come up with the name?
Okay, this is gonna sound corny, but it did come to me. Like, it came to me. Yeah. And I mean, I know that like I've seen people, like, especially because we're in a black country Americana era with like Beyonce and Shabuzi and so many heavy hitters right now. I see the word country like a lot, but it was like it was during the pandemic. I was like, yo, it'd be sick. Like, I'm like, you know, you're just in your, like, we were all doing backflips in the crib, like thinking about stuff, making new skills. And I came up with a lot of ideas in the hole or whatever, or like in this like time warp of a time that we had.
Yeah.
And country was one of those things. I knew that like my first album was going to be called Root Cause, and then my second album was going to be called Country. But I followed that sensibility from like other great artists I had heard of who like had their first, 5-6 albums like named in their head or whatever.
Right.
That's the thing. So I was like, that's cool.
Did the name come before you thought of the subject matter, or did you also kind of know that this one's going to be kind of the album that talked about the things it talked about?
Country, Mom Does Rodeo. I'm reconnecting with all these ancestral stories. I'm learning about my family and like their spiritual practices. I'm learning about labor. I'm working more than I ever have in my entire life. Like, I'm working at Amazon. I've worked at the Apple Store. I worked at J. Crew. I worked at Paper Source. I worked at Trader Joe's for a few years, and this is all within the span of like 3 years.
Yeah, damn, that's a lot
Couldn't
of jobs
keep a job,
in 3 years.
girl. Yeah, a lot of jobs, and I was like, wow, people are really overworked and really sad, and a lot of things are not working in the world, and I had those feelings, and I was identifying and being able to have the compassion and pause to be able to understand that I have needs and the people around me also have needs.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to figure out how to get out of Boston, so I end up low-key traveling the country.
Yeah.
On some like very like housing insecure vibes, like stay with my godmom, stay with my aunt, save money, trying to figure out how to move back to New York City and be able to afford to live here. And in the process of those travels, I had that word and that name with me, and it started to become more and more real. I was like, I don't know when, and this is before like country or folk music was even like starting to bubble back up, you know.
Right.
I'm like, there's just something spiritually in me. I'm like, I'm supposed to do this. I don't know when, but I'm gonna just wait and figure it out. So yeah, and I think country for me defines my. I think country for me is a joining of my understanding of land and ownership, and also like the body, queerness, being queer, and like all of those things join together
Yeah.
encompass that word. And like my family's also from the South, so it just made sense for me to like lean in to that word in the way that I saw fit, not just as an aesthetic choice or a genre focus, but just like a whole ideology, a whole way of thinking about the world and what the world is offering.
Yeah.
That's my short answer.
That's a beautiful answer. What are some things that define this kind of like folk or country ideology that is kind of embedded throughout the project?
Just like, I think I feel more committed than ever to be clear in the things that I care about and the things that I do not care about, because we're in such an intense political time, and there's so much hardship, and there's so much beautiful art
Yeah.
in the world right now, and so much beautiful music. Some people would say it's oversaturated. I would say we're just in a highly expressive era, considering that we're under really oppressive conditions.
Yeah.
And so I needed an outlet. And as a traveler and as a wayward traveler, I think I found myself collecting stories and collecting so many experiences firsthand, but also observing the experiences of others. I met people from like all around the world in the process of making this record, and like I think I learned, actually, shout out Alex from Bad Bad Not Good, because he is the one who, like, he heard my record maybe a little bit more than a year ago, and he was like, it's just a marker of time, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that is where folk comes in, because folk is really about like that, you know, speaking to the signs of the times, and
Yeah.
being really clear about where we are. And I had a dream of making something that couldn't have come out any other year, just to be able to say that I know how to do that, you know?
Yeah, it was very fucking timely. And it's crazy to hear about you like having these ideas ruminating for so long, which I mean, it's not just 2025 that we've been struggling with the reality of labor and how much it fucks all of us up. But all the other things that are also like discussed on the album, for it to be coming out in 2025 does feel like very, very timely. Like you really did that very well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think like I want a world where we can speak in a timely manner, and we can act and we can activate ourselves, and not head into this sort of, and I mean this gently, this kind of paralysis that comes with experiencing and seeing these like traumatic images in our phone every day, and like seeing these violent images, and just like shutting down and trying to make our, you know, and everyone can kind of just like activate themselves in the way that they see fit, whether it's through their art, whether it's through like small conversations with their family or their friends. Like I think that like I want my record to be like an example of that, of like, okay, I saw something in the world, I spoke on it, I gave my opinion without apology. There's no way to make work that isn't going to fall within some sort of politic. It doesn't mean that it has to be your social responsibility to make art that it's like that's the whole personality of it. But
Right.
I think that like I hoped that like my record at least acknowledges that side of myself and that side of the people that are around me. You know, it speaks to the environments that I'm in, like in Bushwick, and when I was in New Orleans, and like I was in Nashville, and I was in Wyoming, and like, you know, and and in Berlin, and like you hear all of those influences, not just in the beats that are chosen or the chords that are chosen, but like just top to bottom, inside and out, you know?
Yeah.
That's where the country kind of comes in, of like the land, and like I feel like each song has like a geographical tether.
Ooh.
Like each song could like be connected to like a place.
Okay. Well, I did want to run through a couple songs in specific. So for each song we talk about, I'd love to hear the place that you feel like it's tethered to.
Okay, cool. I can do that.
Okay. Let me open up my little notebook. First song I want to ask you about is Nine Lives, because I really love that song. I love like the melody on that song. I think it's very beautiful. Your voice sounds crazy.
Wow.
Tell me about the location in your mind of Nine Lives.
My bedroom. No, I'm kidding. It is a little freaky song, but I that song reminds me of, one would say, it's funny, I think a lot of people would think R&B, but I actually think of walking in like a local jazz bar like in New Orleans, like on a random weeknight, and someone is just playing something that they want to play. There is like this sort of this bounce or this swing to the song that reminds me of jazz and like love, but not in like a show-offy way.
Yeah.
I also love, it reminds me of my room because I recorded actually all the vocals on like little road mics, like the ones we're using right now.
No way.
Yeah. Because I just recorded each part of the song just in my day-to-day.
Yeah.
And then my friend Akili is playing. I wrote that with Smith Taylor, who's amazing songwriter. Just asking him like, what should I say? And we were just like, damn, my cat has 9 lives. And it was like, oh my God, this makes sense. And then Akili, my friend, is playing trumpet and just played what I sang. And then I made that beat and stuff in my own studio out here in Brooklyn, but it feels very inspired by some of the music that I heard walking around like in Bywater, like near Frenchman Street, like on a random, like an off night, not like a super touristy night, but like on a regular night. And there's so much good music coming out of the South all over. But
Yeah.
yeah, I spent some time seeing a lot of really great people play. And yeah, so yeah, I like made those drums, and they remind me of like my friend Brian Richburg, who plays drums on Salt and Lime.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like how he played drums. I programmed them, but it reminds me of those drums.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. I definitely want to talk about, so I really enjoy how Sleep Song goes into Always the Horse, Never the Jockey. I think that's like a really nice, like kind of 2-paired song, because you start out with the sleep song and you're like, okay, I'm in this sleep. It's peaceful. This is the one place where I can escape from this kind of, some may say, hellscape of a world around me.
Yes.
And then you literally start off Always the Horse, Never the Jockey with like, okay, I'm waking up and now I'm facing this day, even though I may not always want to.
Yes.
Tell me about the creation of those 2 songs.
Okay, pairing them was actually like one of those beautiful coincidences. Initially I envisioned Always the Horse was going to be the first song on the record, just because I love the idea of an album starting with saying that you're waking up.
Yeah.
But then I'd already had Sleep Song, and Sleep Song was like one of those songs that came very slowly. It is the oldest song on the record. I wrote the idea, the main words, so easy when I'm asleep, you know, feeling, closed eyes won't face fears, closed eyes don't shed tears. I wrote those lyrics with someone named Zola when I was 18 in her childhood home. I think she was 17. Carried that with me, just that poetry. through years and years and years and years. And occasionally I would just play it for people because I just thought it was so soothing and such a pretty song. And eventually I worked on it. I had linked up with Tommy Champion and those songs as a pair. Let me stick to that. Sleep Song for me is a part of a group of songs that I had written in the past few years about anxiety naps.
Yeah.
Like when your day just gets to be too much and you just like want to take a nap because
Yeah.
you're like, this is too much.
I just need to check out for a second.
I just need to check out for like good 2 or 3 hours. But then also it speaks to like me grappling with avoidance. I grew up with very avoidant people like in my life, and learning how to navigate those kinds of conflicts and stuff. Learning how to navigate conflict for me was a challenge. And so that song speaks to that. And then Always a Horse, I had a dream, a vision about writing a song about being a horse basically for the past like year and a half. Like in this whole country music era where I was like observing, I was like, I feel more akin to the horse than like the people on top of the horse. Like I feel more like a workhorse. And so I wanted to write a song from the perspective of a horse, wrote those lyrics by myself and had some amazing collaborators and recorded that song live, like with one mic. It's just one mic in one room with everyone playing and singing in the same room. It's like one of those like magical moments. And then the trotting and stuff was like, it was just beautiful. It was just all beautiful. I think both of those songs are representative of my process because I'll identify the language that I want to speak in, like what do I want to talk about, and then like I'll keep it close to my heart or like even put it on flashcards or like journal. And then I'll be in these like studio moments and be like, oh, this was the right song for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sleep Song got built over time, like me just constantly adding to the Ableton session, and then all of a sudden it became like, I think it's like 4-5 minutes, like a long song.
Yeah.
And Always a Horse is short, and like I think they complement each other really well, like in terms of their messaging, and they're showing where I was at in my journey, like taking these like really intense anxiety naps maybe when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, and then I wrote Always a Horse last summer, so now I'm like, I woke up in spite of fear, you know.
Yeah.
I have arrived, although everything is telling me to not. And I've decided to, but also, will I win the race? Will I excel and continue to be this like exceptional worker, you know, or will I take pause and remember why it's important to just like be resilient and more grounded and less focused on upward mobility and more focused on like great art, good people, good community. I think actually Always a Horse has some of my favorite lyrics. Let us remember, what is it at the end? Let us remember what we're asking for. Let us remember what we're asking for. No need to perform. Who's keeping score? You know, who's keeping score? Sometimes I keep score on myself. Sometimes the institutions are keeping score.
Yeah.
Sometimes your job is keeping score. But it's important to remember who is, so we can figure out whether that has value or not.
Yeah.
My answer was really long.
No,
Sorry.
it's like a really great. This is why we do this. Like I love learning
you
about
got
this.
me like answering and like I'm giving you the longest answers, and I'm like so embarrassed because I'm usually pretty succinct, and I'm like, oh god.
No, that's exactly why I love like filming like long interviews, because we can just really get into it. Like I love hearing about just all these like stories and processes and thoughts behind all of these songs, because there's a lot of depth to them. Like you can feel it. Like I could tell listening to this album that there's so many thoughts and emotions that you've like put into this 3 to 4 minute song, and I want to hear about all of it. If we could, I would talk about each song for an hour, which we could take it there, but my phone would die.
I love that.
we could take it there.
Well,
Thank you, Cleo.
And I'm glad you like Sleep Song. I feel like Sleep Song is a sleeper.
A sleeper. No, I really liked it. I love the production on there. There's like harp on there, which is really nice. Really makes it feel like that very like dreamy, kind of sleepy, lucid feeling.
Yeah, that song, the way the harp came was like I had like a recording class when I was like 19, and I had the main chords of the song looping, and I was like, just solo. And then I kept it, and it was such a long solo, it helped me develop the structure of, I structured the whole song around the harp solo, and eventually yeah, and then the way it ends with the harp at the end, and and then Elliot Skinner, amazing, reads my poetry at the end, reads a poem that I wrote. Yeah, I love that song. I think it's like art, like it's just art.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful song. The last two songs I want to ask you about are Americana and Da Da Da, which I feel like are kind of like bad bitch moments on the album, especially like Da 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 is very much like a shaking ass through the pain kind of song.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about those two tracks.
Atlanta.
Ooh.
I made Americana in Atlanta when I was really on my major, like I'm in the South, like straight girl energy.
Yeah.
It was an era. I'm like smoking hookah, going to the club on the weekends, like hanging out with like random guys. Like I'm like 21, going to having some of my first like real club experiences in the US. And yeah, I made that beat like in my aunt's guest bedroom, like on her floor, top to bottom, the whole thing, the Americana, cook like your mama thing, and then that was a place I was living because I couldn't afford to live on my own. But then when I would go back and visit for pleasure, or in other moments when I needed a place to live in the few years after, that was in like 2022 or 2021, late 2021. And then when I started to visit every summer after, I would just work on it like a little bit more, just that song. And I would like keep it there.
You only worked on it there?
Yeah. Until it clicked for me what the second verse was going to be like. And I was so stoked. I think I was like in New York, and I was finally like, I want you in, I can't keep playing Seville. And I was just like, but it's very inspired by like Atlanta, queer Atlanta. Shout out queer Atlanta. Shout out lesbian Atlanta.
Shout out.
But yeah, and also, being around like women, it was just amazing. And I love how I was kind of afraid of the song, and now I'm so happy that it's out. Because I was like making these like really like serious folk records, and then I was like, why this one? And then I was like, wait, but why not?
Yeah.
And then Da Da Da, different story of creation, but I think that like still very inspired. Like, I told you like my mom did rodeo, my grandma grew up in Kentucky, my grandfather's from Texas, and then my cousins, like they go line dancing, they go to trail rides. Like I have memories of going to like monster truck races and fairs and stuff, and that is that like trail ride energy is in that song. But I also feel like that like uptown, I'm waiting for the bus, and we're like making beats on the bus, kind of energy too.
That beat very much feels like you were just in your room, like,
like yeah. So it's kind of me joining those two energies together, like literally, and seeing the correlation between those energies. And it's definitely an inner child song. It's definitely a song for my inner child. And when I say waiting for the bus, when I'm like waiting for the bus, I think of like literally being like in the 6th grade, like waiting for the bus because my commute is an hour for me to go to one side of DC to the other side of DC, so that I could get to class by like 8:15.
Yeah.
And get on the, waiting for the bus at 6:30 in the morning to go to school, which is, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this was my norm and so many other people's norm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it came gradually. Like it was like, okay, beat got made, got made, and then wrote that first verse over text with my homegirl. She literally texted me the words "powered by a servant, spell cast by a merchant," and then I texted her back. I have the screenshot. I texted her back, and I'm like, bought me discounted, now I'm worthless. So, like literally the first verse, like the first half of the first verse, it was like over text.
That's cool.
And we were like, fire, and she was like, fire. And then she like was working in a dental office. She was like working in healthcare, like
Yeah.
like regular daytime job. Like I was out here writing these songs with real laborers, real people, like real humans, not like label people who like music, who are like trying to make it their, like people who are like, this is my outlet for me to like express myself, and if I don't do this, a little part of me is gonna die.
Yeah.
I think all artists somewhat feel that way, but it's on a different level when it's like, I got 15 minutes on my hour break to like talk to you about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. And then I don't know, then I had put my producer hat on, and I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like this needs banjo. And then it just like random. It felt so random because I knew it was a rap song. Like I even showed it to Tebe, like shout out Earl Sweatshirt, but I showed it to Tebe like maybe a few summers ago, and I remember him being like, this is art. This is art. And I had shown him so many songs, and I felt like, okay, this is a song I'll work on. Like I remember like hearing that from him had me like, it put that battery in my back of like, okay, I should keep working on this.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even added the banjo and the second verse yet. I hadn't added the who gets to go, so I hadn't even added all that yet. And also my friends at the end, adding my friends at the end, like the call and response was very much that schoolyard, that lunchtime. That's the Harlem in me, I think. The when I see a hater, I go da da da, like very like Harlem energy. So it's like all of my like little varying experiences growing up in the South, growing up here, and putting them together on that record. That's why it's probably one of my favorite records to make. And then Americana just felt like, yeah, that's like my alter ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm interested in what I would sound like if I made a whole album that sounds like that. But it's like, yeah, that's like my alter ego.
What would you name that alter ego?
Oh God, what was I name that alter ego? I don't know. I'd probably would name it like a silly name, like Cherish, or like I've been wanting to do something like maybe I'll just give them a different name. Maybe it is Ella. Maybe that's Ella. Maybe that's me for real.
Oh.
Ooh.
When the alter ego is the real you.
Oh God. Yes. Yes.
We're realizing things.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to talk about like the theatricality and the versatility of your voice throughout the project. It's really cool hearing you take your voice to so many different places. You have these moments where you have this very like low, deep voice, but then these like moments where you have this very like high, fluttery, like cute voice. You're rapping, you're singing, you're taking it all over the place. Tell me about using your voice in that way and having that versatility.
I had a really deep desire to be able to activate my voice from an authentic place. It wasn't something that I think I was really able to do until the process of making this record. It kind of started to show through of like, I have a lot of low voices inside me. I have a lot of voices in my head.
Yeah. We're going to let them all out.
As we all do. We all have little voices in our head, and I was like, how can I orate those? And then also like doing some theater stuff. I did like Black American Circus and like some of my clowning stuff, and that really helped me because I learned like about acting and like, but also grew up like loving all types of voices. Like I love people who could go through different voices. Like I really did like Nikki growing up. You know, I really did like what's a really good example? I really did like Prince. I really did like, Jill Scott. I really loved Jill Scott, and she's like incredible at offering so many different personalities to us track to track. When it's opera, and when it's like more soulful, when it's bluesy, and when it's scared and frantic, and I wanted that. I knew I wanted that as soon as I started taking singing seriously when I was like 18. I really love Rosalia. Rosalia is also someone who like really we'll go there and like have all the different voices. So then when I started making the record, I tried to treat each song as like being in service to the song as opposed to like being in service to myself. So what kind of voice did the song need as opposed to what makes me sound pretty or sound the best?
Yeah.
And that was a part of my unlearning of like academia too, because I was unlearning that like singing a high note is you do it because it's artistically like impressive as opposed to like singing a high note because that's what the song needs.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a more spiritual approach to being a vocalist or like a storyteller in general.
Yeah.
Because I was also learning, like I spent time in this fellowship called One Beat that had got shut down by Trump in this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was run by the U.S. Department of State, which has a long history of funding artists, like funded some of Miles Davis's tours and later in his life, and was responsible for so much, but it has always gotten like shut down when things get conservative and open back up. It's like an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
One Beat was a program through that and through a nonprofit facilitated by a nonprofit called Sound Nation. And One Beat was like we were stationed like in an art center in Central Florida for 2 weeks I was with like 25 other people, and 20 of them, each single person was from a different country visiting.
Yeah.
A lot of people visiting the States for the first time. I was the only person whose family born and raised in the South. We're in Florida. So already an intense experience for me of like, wow, like there's so much to learn from this. And basically like it was for a month total, but the first 2 weeks when we were locked in there, like I made it my duty to make sure that I got a vocal lesson, whether it was 5 minutes or an hour, from every single vocalist in the program. So like I got vocal lessons from, you know, a woman who was from Nepal, you know, someone who was from a pianist from South Africa, you know, a rapper from India. And I got like vocal lessons from all these people, and it helped me deepen my understanding of like the universality of music and good storytelling too. Mm-hmm. And it was a really rare experience and that I don't take for granted. And through that, I learned about what kind of person I wanted to be on the songs. And I think, yeah, like I said, just taking each song as its own and like learning how to be in service to the story as opposed to just like, because I could sound how I sound on Sleep Song, for example, on every song.
Yeah.
Could sing every song with opera and high notes, you know.
Right.
But it didn't feel like it made sense. And early in my process, there are certain voices that I go to first. But then, and also like I loved Tyler growing up. I always loved anyone who like showed showed the different personalities on the songs as the songs were continuing.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had it in me. It was just about like activating that, and that was through like learning from others, learning from my community. And I had a homegirl, Kambaba Jasper, beautiful woman, and we were talking, and she saw me play some small show like a year and a half ago and was like, you did this voice and it sounded like you for real. And I was like, what do you mean? And then we got into like this deeper conversation about how raspy and deep like my talking voice is. Mm-hmm. And it's not the raspiest or the deepest, but it's definitely like I have like a casual voice. But when I was learning how to sing, I would sing with like this like clear forward,
Yeah.
because that's what I was conditioned to do, because that's what I was learning was valuable. And so the voice that she was speaking about is actually the voice that I use on like Always the Horse or like
Yeah.
Salt and Lime. I know, as
Yes.
you like. No, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, that was the voice that I was learning how to use. That was the voice that I ended up using on those songs.
Yeah.
Which is the most like my talking voice. So it's been a journey. Like it's been a serious journey, and it's been like real work. And it was because I wanted to be I want to be one of the best to ever do it. Like in terms of just singing and sharing a story authentically. Like I wanted to be able to look back on this record and be like, that sounded like me when I was 25. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I really think that aspect of you showing all these different personalities and just types of voices and different sounds is like one of my favorite aspects of the record. So you did that like really beautifully.
Thank you.
It's really cool.
Actually, someone just asked me recently, like, about Americana, and was like, and Women at War, and was like, why did you put auto-tune on your voice? Like, why did you? And I actually spoke about it and was like, folk music has really, the meaning of that, I think, has really lost its way. I think that like rappers, black women rappers are like the ultimate, they are our folk storytellers. They are our sharers of current events, of societal disparities, of, they speak to our times and our climate. And so who am I to not, what kind of artist am I if I don't acknowledge that and cherish that? It doesn't mean it has to be a part of my work, but I gotta like cherish it, you know?
1000%. Very much so.
So
I guess the last thing I want to kind of get into is how you were like self-funded in releasing this project. It was an incredibly successful release. Like it got a lot of press coverage, just a lot of like word of mouth excitement. I wasn't at the release event, but I saw videos of it and I heard it was like really incredible. And it was in like a really cool space as well. Tell me about the process of releasing the album, what that's been like for you. And I know that's still like a continuous work that's happening right now. Tell me about, powering that release yourself and what that felt like.
I feel like, thank you. First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
Make me blush. I think that one of the keys to being an independent artist is understanding your no, acknowledging who and what you want to say no to, and just going full throttle. I think when I got a lot of rejections for this record in like late 2024. I started shopping it, and so many people passed on it. Like, so many people passed on it. I didn't have the album cover done. I had like 6,000 followers on Instagram. You know, they were like, that's cute, but how are you going to go from here to here, you know? And so I kind of just took that and like put the battery on my back, and all last year, like, applied for a ton of grants and like a funding, and just to figure out how I was going to pay people and pay myself for my time so that I could really give people the work in a way that it could be received and understood. You know, I understand the importance of marketing and, you know, making sure that your work is released with patience and intention. The artists that I admire the most are the people who just do them and just release great work and do it with care. Not, I don't do well in environments where I feel rushed in general.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't able to keep any of those jobs that I just talked to you about.
Real.
Because I don't like being rushed. So I had to figure it out, and I had to figure out how to be like, put my life in a framework where I could do it on my own time. So I found some mentors and some, you know, and some loved ones who could help me navigate that. And I was able to fund, you know, the shooting of the album cover and the PR and paying a publicist, paying creative directors, paying film people, paying like all that stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
Which was like really wild, you know, and but also like a necessary part of my process, because it's like I knew that like if I was ever going to work with like a partner or anybody like that, like I knew like I need to know more about what I'm doing. You know, I
Right.
need to be able to understand what I'm doing top to bottom, because my vision visually was like coming from a very specific, there had to be nuance. Like it couldn't just be me with a cowboy hat on the cover,
Right.
because that's not what the work was giving. So I was like, I needed to just really sit and study and learn about aesthetics, and I needed the time to do that. And so if it was doing a residency or working with a nonprofit like I did, like I worked with Recess, and we did like a whole installation before the album came out based on the themes of the album, and that helped me really lock in, because I was like, these are the people this is supposed to reach, and like really honing in on that, like what would they want. Shout out Recess Arts in Brooklyn.
Shout out. Yes.
But yeah, I like what would they want, what would they need, and just like operating from that place, as
Yeah.
opposed from a place of like, this demographic is gonna like this, or this is gonna sell that many tickets, or whatever. Like, I need to put myself in a position where I can be like, fuck the tickets. You know, I can be like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 10 people come or 300 people come. It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah.
And I think like being able to put myself in a position financially and like from a structural level to be able to like operate from that place and not operate from a place of scarcity when it comes to like sharing the work was very important, and still continues to be very important as I like put out work that is like truly in alignment with who I am and like my politic about who I am. And it's not me trying to like argue with people and give hot takes and like call outs to like get my point across, being
Right.
like, let me just put this in the work and like let the work speak, and like how can I frame my whole career to make sure that, you know, this is what I stand for. It doesn't have to be something that I, you know, try to like double down and like bring out of, you know, it's like, it just seems exhausting to like share in that way.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I need to figure out a way to like share in a way that's a little bit less effort, a little bit more steezy.
Yeah.
So
Again,
yeah.
like you really just like left it all in the music, which I think is like, it seems like exactly what you were trying to do. You did it really well. And again, like when people come into this album and listen to it for the first time, I do think, like, especially if they're like actually really, really listening, intentionally listening, it's like a really beautiful, cool experience. Again, like every aspect, the storytelling, the really like unique, cool production, your choices, like we're learning about you, we're learning about the state of the world and how people are feeling like through your lens. And yeah, the whole experience is really beautiful. And then yeah, pairing that with like the cover, which is super cool, and just all the creative around it, like beautifully executed. And kind of as you move forward from this and as you're like in this big moment, you know, what's the reception been like, especially on like the industry side of things? I know you said that you've also been like having label conversations now. So after having such like a cool experience, or what seems like a really cool experience with an independent release, how are you feeling around like label conversations and kind of where you want to take things next?
I think I'm keeping an open mind. I think I'm trying to pay attention to my people and myself, and I want to make sure that, I think the team that I had was so great, and I want to work with so many people who are part of this for a long time, and I want to be able to bring them with me into the next stage of my career. So I'm open to conversations that like let me do that.
Yeah.
Like that's really all it is. But in terms of like labels and integrity, like I was independent because everybody said no. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? Not put it out? Because some guy said that like it had more than one genre and it wasn't really folk music. Like, no, that's like dumb. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, that sounds like, that's not enough of a reason for me to not release the work. So
Yeah.
I self-released and it was great, and I would run it again. I would self-release 10 more times, but it's a lot of work.
Right.
But either way, it comes with its challenges, its pros and cons. I think like it's worth it to like be open to a conversation, but I'm definitely not gonna rush anything, and I would never encourage anyone to rush into a commitment, an artistic commitment with anyone.
Mm-hmm. And a
Not
financial
even a friend.
commitment too,
Yeah, financial commitment.
because that paperwork is like that's a big deal as well.
Yeah, have a lawyer. Make sure that you have a lawyer. Make sure that you get a good lawyer. Try to get a lawyer who works with the kind of artist that you want to be in alignment with.
Yeah.
That's it, you know? If you, like, I think, like, if I want to be an indie artist for life, I need to work with an artist, a lawyer or a manager who understands how that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I try to have a good team. I have a good team. I have a good manager. I have a great lawyer. So I'm just gonna like run it and
Hell
just
yeah.
be open. But we'll see what happens 6 months from now, a year from now.
We're excited to see what happens. We got much to look forward to. Well, Cleo, this has been like so lovely. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time, Annabelle.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do. Is there anything else you'd like the people to know about Cleo before we get out of here?
My name is Cleo. Thanks for listening to my record. That good shit is amazing,
Thank you.
and I'm very thankful to be here at my local gym having conversation with you.
Beautiful.
Yay!
Thanks.
We did it.
We did it.